You are listening to Arirang Radio's Wonders of Jeju. This is a segment where we tell you about the lives of people living right here on the island. I'm your host, AK. This is Humans of Jeju. On Humans of Jeju, we introduce Jeju people who are living here in various ways, and now we're with Jay.
Yes.
Hooray.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
How are you today?
Very good.
Not feeling good? Because we were wearing masks.
Maybe not very good.
Yeah.
That was too automatic. Yes.
Yeah. What happened?
That cold is not going away. My throat is still a little bit closed up, and I got runny nose going on.
Right. Everybody's suffering from, I think this is because of weather.
So I got my mask on so that you don't get this disease.
Infectious disease. Don't worry about it. I'm pretty strong in that
Oh,
way.
really? Should I take it off? No, I'm just kidding.
No, oh, no. No, but if you like, wear like taking off your mask, I don't mind.
Oh, thank you. I just don't want to show all this runny nose and
Runny
everything.
nose, all
our
right.
viewers might not like it too much.
And
yes.
So other than that, how are you today?
Other than that, it's been a pretty laid back week.
Laid back week.
Yes.
I mean, since you changed your work, you said
it's
going to be busy.
Now I'm getting used to it a little bit.
You're getting used to it.
A little more
Okay.
laid back, but
all right.
But last week was really busy. So.
I mean, it's good to hear, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's just jump right into the humans of Jeju. So who's the person you're going to introduce to us today?
So let's listen to today's human of Jeju.
Great.
저는 영화 감독 민병훈이고요. 지금 현재 영화도 만들고 또 미디어 아트도 같이 준비하면서 영상 전시도 함께하는 민병훈 감독이라고 합니다.
Tell us about it.
Yes, so today's human of Jeju is movie director Byung-hoon, living on Jeju Island. Currently, he is making films and is even preparing an exhibition through media art.
So he's a film director living on Jeju Island. So how did he end up living here?
So apparently, he has always been in love with Jeju Island. And even before living here, he used to come to Jeju to shoot landscapes or films. After his wife started to get sick, she wished for a better environment to live in, which then led them to settle on Jeju Island. Sadly, even after his wife passed away, he and his child have continued to live in Jeju, and they've been living here for almost 6 years now.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a story behind it. And I've heard that his documentary, which is currently screening, includes the story after that. But before we delve into the details, shall we talk about when the director first started studying film? And I've heard he studied film in Russia, which is quite unusual, isn't it?
Yes, and he spent his teenage years loving films, he mentioned. And according to him, he mentioned that there wasn't a teenager at the time who disliked movies, which is pretty much still the same today.
Yeah.
But he mentioned the movies he particularly favored was of art film genre. Especially he admired and liked the director Andrei Tarkovsky a lot, who was a Soviet-born Russian film director and was regarded as one of the greatest film directors in history. Especially known for his dreamy, meditative visuals, often achieved through long takes. So he wished to enter the Russian State Institute of Cinematography, where Tarkovsky studied or at least experienced that atmosphere that he did. So like a traveler, he took only one bag and left for Russia in November 1992.
Wow.
He mentioned that he still remembers it vividly. The airport in Russia, he said the cold and chilly cigarette smoke and the fur hats worn by people there. So he went there with a challenging spirit at the time, but ended up settling down after traveling. And then the following year, he took the entrance exam for the film school and started his film studies.
Wow. So going to Russia over 20 years ago. Well, that is crazy. That's pretty impressive. Even nowadays, studying film in Russia feels quite unfamiliar, right? And I wonder what his time there was like.
So let's hear it from him first.
Great.
7년 정도의 시간에서 매일 하루하루가 놀라운 시간이었어요. 놀라운 거는 러시아 사람들과 함께 하는 그 시간들, 친구들과 함께하는 작품하는 시간들, 또 그들과 함께하는 보드카와 어떤 그런 노래와 시와 음악과 함께하는 그런 파티들, 혹은 기숙사에서 갖고 있는 애환들, 뭐 이런 시간들이 아주 그냥 촘촘하게 엮어져 있기 때문에 러시아 영화가 이해가 됐죠. 아, 러시아 영화가 일상적인 삶을 이렇게 잘 이렇게 포착해낸 거구나. 그러다 보니 작품도 해답이 있는 영화가 아니라 질문하는 영화를 만들고 싶었고, 굉장히 오묘한 영화, 신비로운 영화를 만들고 싶었고, 그런 바탕을 아마 삶 속에서 저에게 툭 준 것이 러시아 아닐까? 뭐 이렇게 생각을 하죠.
Please?
Yes, so he mentioned that he was worried that by bringing up old stories after a long time, they might either be romanticized or distorted. However, despite all that, his memories were so vivid that his story was fascinating. First of all, he spent 7 years and 2 months in Russia. He said every day was astonishing, filled with learning and wonder. The time spent with Russian people creating works with friends, along with like vodka, songs, poetry, and music, all mingled together at parties, and the moments spent in the dormitory, all those experiences intertwined tightly into his life. And only did he truly understand the Russian cinema. So he said through all that, he realized that Russian cinema emerged from such life, capturing the essence of daily life. So naturally, following the path, he wanted to create films that asked questions rather than provided answers, films that were not difficult, but rather subtle and mysterious. And he said behind all that lays the Russian life.
Wow, that is incredibly intriguing. So Russia is a place where great poets lived, and there's like high proof alcohol, poetry, and music. So studying film there, it's no wonder his first film was so special, right? And the title, "벌이 날다," "Bee Fly." Like the moment I heard it, and I couldn't imagine it was made by the Korean director.
Yeah, and that's understandable, especially considering the actors were all locals, making it hard to imagine a Korean director was behind it. So let's hear from the director about that aspect first.
Great.
벌이 날다 작품을 만들 때는 모스크바보다는 미지의 세계에 제안이 왔었고, 미지의 감독인 잠셰드 우스마노프라는 나랑 같이 영화를 만들자고 했었고, 그곳이 타지키스탄이었고, 타지키스탄이 내전 중이었는데 목사 신분으로 비자를 발급받아서 몰래 잠입을 해서 그곳에서 영화를 찍었는데, 그 영화를 만든 그 동기부여가 저에게는 오히려 훨씬 더 애틋하고 용기를 가지고 했다고 해야 되나? 뭐 그런 생각이 들고요. 벌이 날다 작품이 우여곡절 끝에 영화를 1년 만에 만들었고, 졸업작품으로 만든 작품이었는데 편집을 하고 나니 장편 영화가 됐고, 또 우연히 제3회 부산국제영화제에서 처음 상영을 했고, 그때 프로그래머가 그 영화를 보시고 선택을 해주셨고, 해외 영화제에서 불에 넘치는 상도 많이 받았고, 또 그렇게 해서 감독의 길로 이제 들어서게 된 거죠.
Please?
Yeah, so when he created the film 벌이 날다, Bee Fly, he said he had already been living in Moscow for a long time. So he wanted to make a challenging film by going to an unknown world. A mysterious director named Jamshed Usmanov proposed to make a film together, and an opportunity arose to film in Tajikistan, a country that was unknown to him. At that time, the country was in the midst of civil war, so he obtained the visa as a pastor and secretly infiltrated to shoot film. After various twists and turns, he completed the film within a year, originally intended as a graduation project. It turned out to be a feature film after editing it, and coincidentally, it was screened at the Busan International Film Festival.
Wow.
So that was the third year of the festival, which was a long time ago, considering that the festival is now its 25th year. So his film was introduced in Busan and received invitations to overseas film festivals, and it received various awards at international film festivals, setting him on the path of a director.
Wow, listening to the story, it feels like his life is incredibly dramatic, like a movie itself. So today we are discussing the story of film director Min Byung-hoon living on Jeju. And earlier you mentioned his film Bee Fly, so which he made as his graduation project at the Russian State Institute of Cinematography, was introduced at the Busan International Film Festival and receiving acclaim at the overseas film festivals as well.
Yes, and to briefly describe the film, it portrays the life of an ordinary citizen striving to create a better world. Eventually, the protagonist discovers a well through his actions in an area suffering from water scarcity. One film critic described it as reviving the work with documentary sincerity.
Oh.
And director Min also mentioned that all directors possesses a documentary sensibility to some extent.
However, would you agree that such qualities were particularly evident in director Min's works? And coming back to the present, his current screening, Promise, like 약속 in Korean, seems to be the result of that journey, right?
Yes, and that's correct. This film follows the daily life of director Min's son, Shiu, left behind after his mother's passing. It's a documentary capturing their life together, so let's hear it directly from him first.
Okay, great.
아이의 성장 과정을 그냥 영화가 아니라 찍고 싶었어요. 찍으면 마음 편했어요, 그냥. 근데 아이만 찍으니까 너무 좀 이상한 거예요. 그래서 제가 숲에 가서 촬영하는 모습을 제가 저를 또 담은 거예요. 근데 1년 후에 아이가 시를 써왔는데 그 시가 슬픈 비라는 시인데 비를 통해서 자기의 눈물을 생각하는 시인데 그 시를 보고 제가 느낀 게 많았어요. 그래서 아이는 엄마에 대한 애도의 시간을 시로, 아빠인 나는 그 제주에 있는 상실과 공허함을 영상으로 담고 있었는데, 아이의 시가 이 영화의 다큐멘터리의 시나리오가 될 수 있지 않을까라고 생각을 했죠. 그래서 시를 쓰기 시작한 아이, 그리고 그 시를 쓰는 아이를 기록하는 아빠, 그리고 아빠는 아이가 학교 간 이후에 제주의 풍광과 제주의 환경을 통해서 어떻게 성장하고 있는지 그 과정을 2년을 더 찍었죠. 그래서 총 3년 정도를 촬영을 해서 편집을 해서 내밀한 다큐멘터리를 만든 거였고, 아이가 영화 후반부에 나오지만 시가 완성이 됐고, 그 시가 시집으로 나와서 약속이라는 제목으로 시를 썼고, 그래서 영화 제목도 약속, 시집의 제목도 약속.
Please.
Yes, so he said he wanted to capture his child's growth process, not because he was a film director, but simply because he wanted to. However, filming just the child felt somewhat lacking, so he started filming himself in the forest. This process took about a year. Afterward, his child wrote a poem called 슬픈 비, Sad Rain, which he said reflects the child's thought on tears through poetry. And he mentioned feeling a lot upon reading this poem. So the child dedicated the time of mourning for his mother to writing poem, while as a father, he captured the loose and emptiness through visuals. So he thought the video he was filming at the time, which would be a documentary, and the son writing a poem could become a scenario for this documentary. So a child starting to write poetry and a father recording the child writing poetry. After his child started school, he continued to film for 2 more years, capturing how his child grew through the landscapes and environment of Jeju. Thus, after a total of 3 years of filming and editing, the documentary 약속, Promise, was born. So the child wrote poems with the title Promise, and both the poetry collection and the film adapted this title. His child even appeared on a popular Korean entertainment interview program called, 땡땡 Quiz, becoming known to the public as well.
Wow, it's quite a story. Like his child seems to have inherited artist talent from both his father, a filmmaker, and his mother, who wrote a screenplay. So going back in time to director Min's first film, Bee Fly, and then and 괜찮아 울지마, Let's Not Cry, and 포도나무를 베어라, like pruning the grapevine and forming a trilogy about fear, and followed by Touch, 사랑이 이긴다, Love Never Fails, and 황제, the emperor, like forming a trilogy of life, and then releasing Miracle, 기적, as the beginning of the trilogy titled 약속, promise, with a prayerful like a heart. And so did the director aim to discuss essential values in our lives through his films? It seems like each of his works contains complex themes that are not easily defined.
Yes, and he mentioned that he doesn't want to make entertaining films. He believes entertaining films are like blockbuster movies who we commonly see in theaters, and he's not interested in that. So from his perspective, entertaining films are those that raise questions. For example, he admires the films of David Lynch. Even though he hasn't released any recent works, he introduced Lynch as a director who turns the world of cinema into contemporary art. So he likes to view and create films as a genre of art, not something easily consumed. Therefore, the film he creates are serious, profound, and ask profound questions about life.
Wow, interesting. So such films may not be immediately taken up on, but they seem to leave a lasting impression. So, I mean, the setting of his film, which is like Miracle, 기적, is Jeju, right? And so is Jeju an inspiring place for him as well?
So making film is something he does in Jeju. He sees the natural environment of Jeju as his stage and the cast. When nature presents various faces, he captures them on camera and develops them into films such as the 기적, Miracle, which he made using a screenplay written by his wife. And he created 약속, promise, with Jeju as his setting as well.
Listening to the director's words, now I'm curious, when does he think the pivotal moments in life become stories worth telling?
So let's hear directly from him.
Great.
이야기를 자꾸 우리 영어로 스토리라고 하잖아요. 근데 저는 다르다고 봐요. 스토리는 간에 허구가 개입되죠. 이야기는 오늘 아침에 눈을 떠서 잘 때까지가 이야기예요. 그러니까 우리 일상이 이야기죠. 제주의 일상이 같은 날이 없죠. 그래서 제가 전시할 때도 이렇게 문구를 썼는데, 자연은 같은 음류를 동어반복하지 않는다. 제주의 파도를 가만히 보면 같은 파도가 없거든요. 다 다르게 변형돼서 오거든요. 그러니까 반복하지 않죠. 오늘 하루의 자신의 이야기, 자연을 품고 있는 제주이기 때문에 저는 오히려 훨씬 더 풍요롭고 풍만하다 이렇게 생각을 하고 있습니다. 그 풍만한 이야기를 제가 어떻게 담아낼 것이고 어떻게 기록할 것인가, 이게 이제 저에게 주어진 숙제고, 세 편의 영화, 단편 영화까지 이런 작품들을 꾸준히 하다 보니까 작품의 이야기가 배우 없이도 자연의 주제로 만들 수 있다, 이런 생각까지 들어서 작품 활동을 좀 넓히고 있죠.
Please?
Yes, so he pointed out that while we often refer to 이야기 in Korean as stories in English, but he sees them differently. He believes that a story in the English language involves fiction, but for him, a story, the 이야기 in Korean language, is everything from waking up in the morning to going to sleep at night.
Ooh.
So it's our daily lives. He notes that Jeju's daily life is never the same, just as nature doesn't repeat the same pattern. So just as there are no identical waves in Jeju seas, he said our daily stories, like your stories, are rich and abundant. He considers the challenge of how to record these abundant stories to his work as an homework. Also, currently, while steadily creating works, he realized that he can expand the scope of his artistic activities by making films focusing solely on nature without the need for actors as well.
Nature is the answer. So it's fascinating to consider that every element of our lives can become a story, right? So hearing his words, it seems anyone can become a creator nowadays. And so you also mentioned he's active as a media artist. Could you tell us more about details?
Yes, and let's listen to that first.
Great.
제주에 있으면서 제가 촬영한 영상물을 가지고 우연히 이제 전시를 하게 된 거죠. 그래서 국립현대미술관에서도 제 작품을 소장하고, 미디어 아트로서 가치가 있다고 판단을 한 거죠. 저의 방법으로 느린 화면으로 시간을 역조해서 제주 자연의 속살을 드러내는 것인데 그거를 미디어 아트로 제가 변환시켜서 관객분들이 도심의 공간 안에서 저의 작품을 보고 자연의 속살과 형태를 느끼는 거죠. 그렇게 하다 보니까 개인전을 3번을 작년에 했고 올해 전북 완주미술관에서 새 작품으로 7월 8월 2달간 전시할 계획이고요. 당신이 필요한 순간이라는 제목으로 우리가 필요한 순간에 무엇이 필요한지에 대한 그런 공감과 위로를 줄 수 있는 자연물로 전시할 예정입니다.
All right, please.
Yes, so he mentioned he ended up holding an exhibition by chance with the footage he shot in Jeju. So the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art has his works in its collection. They've been recognized for their value as media art. He mainly captured videos that reveal the essence of Jeju natures by reversing time with slow motion footage. And that's been acknowledged as the artistic merit of media art. Audiences can experience the essence and forms of nature by watching his work in urban spaces. He has held 3 solo exhibitions, and this year he plans to exhibit 3 works for 2 months from July to August at museum in Wanju of Jeollabuk-do province under the title 당신이 필요한 순간, Moments You Need. And it's about what you need when you need something, focusing on the empathetic and comforting natural elements.
So I'm already looking forward to these exhibitions. So besides that, I've heard he's also active on Jeju as well.
Yes, and he mainly communicates through his identity as a film director. He devotes most of his time to creating works, and he believes in exerting the positive influence. So he teaches filmmaking to local children using smartphones, conducts workshops to teach filmmaking, and even organizes small village film festivals. He started doing this not just for his son Shiu, but also to engage Shiu's friends in acting, filming, and finding enjoyment in creating videos. He mentioned many parents are concerned about their child being addicted to smartphone games at home, but he believes the solution isn't to prevent the phone usage, but to encourage productive activities using smartphones. So he sees it crucial to empower children to take photos, shoot videos, and make documentaries using their phones to develop their skills. He wanted to expand this approach to adults as well. So he collaborated with the cultural foundations to open a workshop titled Filmmaking with Smartphones in Jocheon.
Yeah.
And through the workshop, farmers, fishermen, and even merchants from the market filmed documentaries. And the quality was actually quite outstanding. He also collaborated with Jeju Ole Foundation to run the same program as well. And there were even people from the mainland attending his workshop.
All right. It seems that individuals in various fields are all proactive in inserting a positive influence through his workshop. So earlier we talked about how he's been teaching both children and adults how to make films using smartphones, right? So aiming to exert positive influence and energy. So with the widespread use of smartphones, it seems like we are living in a world where anyone can become a film director. And however, on the other hand, the places where these small films are screened are decreasing. And in Korea, there's still a problem with screen monopolies where some commercial films dominate multiple screens in multiplex theaters, depriving audiences of the right to see a variety of films. And in response, director Byung-hoon has been raising issues, right, with this distribution system, which is primarily focused on commercial films. And afterwards, I heard he attempted to screen films over 100 times independently. And he went to schools, apartment complexes, and even visited homes to screen movies for elderly people who couldn't go outside due to health issues.
Yes.
And I think the director might have something to say about this. Did he mention anything?
Yes, as a director, he said it's something he naturally has to do. Multiplex theaters were built to screen a variety of films. However, he mentioned since those companies distribute and invest in films they produce, the audience's right to choose what they watch is diminished. In 2023, around 1,200 films were released in Korea, but only about 600 films were screened in theaters. And it's heavily focused on major films, making it difficult to find small or art films.
Wow, it reminds me of biodiversity. Losing diversity can lead to problems in the future.
Absolutely. And he shared a story as an alternative to this issue. So let's hear it from him.
Right.
제주에서 만든 영화든 뭐든 여기는 그냥 상업 영화만 상영을 해요. 그러다 보니 제주에 있는 초등학교 아이들, 제주에 있는 선생님들, 제주에 있는 젊은 우리 제주대 학생뿐만 아니라 모든 시민들과 이분들은 정해진 영화만 제주에서 보게 됐어요. 그러니까 다양한 루트가 없어요. 저는 이 부분이 과연 환경 제주인 보물섬에서 영화라는 것을 숨통을 못 트여주면 이거를 탓만 할 게 아니라 대안이 있어요. 제주에는 수많은 초등학교와 중학교와 고등학교가 있는데 그리고 문화회관 같은 게 있는데 이 모든 공교육 기관은 영사 시스템이 다 들어가 있습니다. 지금 현재. 좋은 영화를 극장까지 안 와도 선정해서 좋은 영화를 학교에서, 강당에서, 문예회관에서 공동체 상영을 제주에서 하면 돼요.
Please?
Yes, he mentioned that Jeju Cinema show only commercial films and have no interest in the locally made films. There's no diversity in options. So he said that to revitalize the film industry in this place known as the Treasure Island of environment, we shouldn't only blame the current situation. Instead, he proposed using the projection systems in all public educational institutes. So if good and diverse films aren't screened in theaters, they can be shown in like school auditoriums or cultural centers through community screening.
Okay. So, above all, I hope the growing children can broaden their perspectives through a variety of films. So, lastly, could you share the place in Jeju that the director recommended?
Yes, he mentioned Jeju's forest and about how to enjoy them, which is not to climb them. So, rather, it's Halasan Orum, he mentioned climbing involves just staring at the feet. So he said that the beautiful spaces in Jeju are within the forest, and there are up to 5 courses called Tulekgir, roundabout
I like
trail.
That, yeah.
And he said that walking through the forest along these trails allow you to see the beauty of Jeju's landscape.
Yeah, I mean, instead of like walking on the Oleg Trail, so Tulekgir is a little smaller version of Oleg Trail. So yeah, if you guys, you should guys like Google it about the Tulekgir, instead of Oleg-gir. All right, so thank you so much for your report, and until up to the next update, I'm gonna see you next week.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the segment. If you're curious to find out more about Jeju, we encourage you to go check out our website at arirangradio.com/Wonders of Jeju, or you can check out our Facebook page at Wonders of Jeju, as well as our Instagram account at WOJ_Arirang. We are going to take you on a journey to learn more about what's happening on this island.